I want to share a story with you before we dive into this topic. I was in a situationship with this guy for about a year. At the time, I really thought it was going to turn into something real. But deep down, a part of me knew I was just going to be strung along. I knew I was holding on to the false hope, telling myself that things would eventually change. But his actions were all over the place. One day, I feel like we were heading in the right direction, and the next, he pulled back just enough to remind me that I wasn't getting the commitment that I wanted. That's the thing about inconsistency. It's a red flag, a sign telling you it's time to let go. But instead of letting go, I held on for a whole year, hoping things would turn around. Eventually, I fell in love with him, and even then, there was no real progression, no commitment, no future plans, just this endless cycle of highs and lows. It hurt, but on the tail end of it all, I made a choice. I decided to emotionally detach myself. I stepped back, and instead of hoping for something more, I just started watching. I watched how he moved, how he interacted with me, and I realized something. It was like looking at my own situation from the outside, and I could finally see things for what they were. That's when I learned a hard truth about situationships, how they're formed and how they continue, and how easily they can keep you stuck if you don't step back and really see what's happening. I was still talking to him all the time, but it was different. I wasn't holding on to hope anymore. I was simply studying the way he played on my emotions and the way he kept me invested without ever committing. And that experience taught me so much. It was painful, yes, but it gave me the strength and insight to avoid falling into that same pattern again. And then, towards the end, I did ghost him. And honestly, I don't feel bad about it. It wasn't even planned. It just got to a point where I was so tired after seeing everything I needed to see. Once I detached emotionally, it was like my spirit just knew. It was just time to let go. And so I let it go, and I had no regrets about how I did it. I didn't send him a long text explaining how he made me feel, because honestly, I felt like I had said everything I needed to say well before we even reached a year. There was no need for some formal goodbye. For me, in my situation, I didn't need that closure. I didn't feel like I owed him any explanation. I just let it be. And that's something we're going to talk about here. Why we, as women, feel like we owe some long explanation every single time. We feel like we have to write out this formal message to officially end things. But here's the truth. If you've been clear and communicated your needs, they heard you. They just didn't care enough to take it in and actually do something about it. And that's all you need to know. This is one of those situations where I think ghosting is absolutely okay. You have every right to ghost when it gets to that point. If someone has shown you more than once that they don't care, then they don't care. So why give them what they're not giving you? You don't owe them an explanation. All right, so let's dig into what exactly is a situationship. So for those who might be new to this term, a situationship is basically when you're more than friends, but you're not really in a committed relationship either. It's that weird, undefined space where you're hanging out, you're texting, and maybe you're even intimate, but there's no clarity, there's no label, and certainly no real commitment. It's like you're stuck in this gray area where one day everything feels amazing, and the next you're left wondering if it's all just in your head. And trust me, I know how the roller coaster feels. One minute you're over the moon because they're giving you all this attention, and the next you're literally spiraling because they're acting distant or inconsistent. Here's the truth. A situationship often means someone isn't ready to fully commit, or maybe they don't see you as a long-term partner you deserve to be. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's something we need to face if we want to break free from this. And I get it. When you're in it, it's hard to see clearly because you're holding on to potential and this idea of what it could be, not what it actually is. If you find yourself constantly confused, anxious, or questioning where you stand with someone, that's a major red flag. Healthy relationships don't keep you guessing. They make you feel more secure and valued and respected. So if you're always wondering, what are we? You're never going to get a straight answer. That's a big sign it might be time to step back. And it's easy to make excuses or hold out hoping that things will change. But let's just be honest with ourselves. Hope isn't the same thing as reality. And I know sometimes the idea of letting go feels more painful than holding on. So maybe you're worried about being alone, or you're thinking, what if no one else comes along? But here's the reality. Holding on to someone who's half in and half out is just going to drain you more in the long run. Think about all that energy you're pouring into figuring them out, trying to read their mixed signals or waiting for them to make up their mind. Now imagine channeling that same energy back into yourself, into things that make you happy and help you grow. Doesn't that sound a whole lot better? Another sign that it's time to detach is if you notice you're starting to shrink yourself just to keep them around. So maybe you're biting your tongue on certain topics and you're avoiding asking for what you need, or you're holding back your feelings because you don't want to scare them off. Listen, if someone isn't excited to meet your needs and embrace who you really are, then they're not worth holding on to. You shouldn't have to twist yourself into a smaller version just to keep someone interested. All right, so let's get into the practical part. How do you actually start detaching from a situationship? Step one is to create distance. I know that sounds simple, but it can actually be one of the hardest steps because we're so used to being in contact and checking their social media or even being available whenever they reach out. But if you want to see things clearly, you need to give yourself some space. And that might mean limiting your communication, unfollowing, or even muting them on social media, and focus on things that bring you joy outside of this relationship. Next, you need to shift your focus back onto yourself. Situationships can feel all consuming because they make you fixate on the other person, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're feeling, what they want. But here's a question. What about you? What makes you happy? What goals, hobbies, or passions have you been putting off because you're so wrapped up in this situationship? This is your time to reconnect with those things, to get back in touch with what truly fulfills you. You might be surprised at how much lighter and more confident you feel when you pour that energy back into you. And let's talk about the urge to reach out, to have that one last conversation where you think everything will just magically make sense. Here's the hard truth. That conversation probably isn't going to happen. And even if it did, it wouldn't give you the closure that you think you're looking for. Closure isn't something that someone else can give you. It's something you give to yourself. So every time you choose not to reach out, you're actually choosing yourself. You're making a statement that your peace of mind is worth more than the uncertainty they're offering you. Let's talk about self-respect for a second. Detaching from a situationship isn't just about moving on from someone who's not giving you what you need. It's about reclaiming your own self-worth. When you hold on to a situationship, you're essentially telling yourself that you're okay with uncertainty and mixed signals and half-hearted effort and all the breadcrumbs. But you're worth so much more than that. Choosing to detach is an act of self-respect. It's a decision to only welcome people into your life who value and appreciate you fully. Think of it like shopping. When you go to a store, you'll see some items on clearance, so they're marked down because they haven't been valued at full price. But luxury items, they never go on sale. They maintain their value because they're worth it, no matter who's buying. And that's exactly how you should see yourself. You're not a clearance item waiting to be picked up by someone who's only half interested. You're a luxury. And that means not everyone will have the privilege of being in your life. Detaching is about recognizing your own value and understanding that just because someone doesn't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Self-respect also means setting boundaries. It means saying, I won't settle for less than I deserve, and then actually sticking to that. I know it can feel lonely at first, especially if you're used to having that person around, but honestly, loneliness is better than settling for confusion and mixed signals. You deserve more than a situationship, and by letting go, you're making room for something real, something that honors who you are. Let's be real. Detaching is tough. It's emotional, it's messy, and some days you're going to doubt yourself. But here's the thing. Moving on is one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself. It's a declaration that you're not going to let someone else's indecision dictate your worth. Every time you choose to distance yourself, to focus on your own self-growth, and to prioritize your well-being, you're building that strength. It's not about forgetting the person overnight. It's about choosing yourself day by day until the attachment fades. So if you're struggling to let go, I need you to remember this. You're not losing anything by walking away from a situationship. You're actually gaining freedom, clarity, and the chance to open yourself up to real, genuine love. And trust me, that love will come. but it won't come until you're done holding on to someone who doesn't see your value or can't decide if they want to be in your life. Letting go is how you make space for something better, something that aligns with who you truly are and what you truly want and what you truly deserve. All right, so here's my final thought. Detaching from a situationship is about choosing yourself, about valuing your time, your energy, and your heart enough to say, I deserve better than this. And if you're stuck in a situationship right now, I need you to know that you have the power to walk away. You can detach and you can find something that truly respects and values you. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. Remember that what's meant for you will never require you to settle or question your worth. So if this resonated with you, leave a comment, share your thoughts or your experiences. And if you're ready for more real talk like this, I need y'all to hit that subscribe button. Please take care of yourself and remember, you deserve a love that's clear, committed, and worthy of everything you bring to the table. I'll see you in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.